class. We want them to think that we have class. Smoke and class. No, we better pass. Smoke and glass. We want them to think that we have class.
Hello, my name is Abi Taiwo, and of course you are watching On the Couch with Abi. So on today's special episode, I have a special guest. And yes, I know I'm actually quite fond of saying special guests, but really I have to admit there is something special about every guest that gets to sit on the couch with me. So what's so distinctive about this young lady, about my guest today, is she is a soul and jazz singer-songwriter. She has put on great shows across Ireland, all over Ireland. She recently performed at the Body and Soul Festival, Guinness Cork and Jazz Festival, and African Day Festival. She recently launched her EP called Magic, the EP, and she certainly made magic at the prestigious number 22 with her 4-piece live band. When she's not making music, she's working in a day job as an associate account strategist at Google in Dublin. It is the beautiful, the gorgeous, the non-conformist Patricia Olufemi, known by her stage name, NC Grey.
What an intro.
How are you? NC Grey.
Good.
So do you want me to refer to you as NC Grey or Patricia?
NC Grey.
NC Grey, yeah. We'll go by NC Grey. So how are you, NC Grey?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm great, thank you. So what's up?
Nothing much. I think I'm recovering from the show. Yeah.
So I actually have to say big congrats to you on the successful EP launch. You put on a great show.
Thank you.
I have to say, which took place actually on the 7th of September at number 22. Mm-hmm. So how do you feel after the show? How do you feel now?
I think it's only beginning to sink in. I got the footage from the show yesterday,
Okay.
and I watched back. And then it's like, oh wow, is that you though? So yeah.
Okay, great stuff. And I'm actually gonna go back to the beginning. So NC Grey, I know NC means non-conformist.
Yes.
So could you tell me more about the name, and do you think it portrays you, the non-conformist, do you think it portrays you as a person?
So I'm Nigerian.
Okay.
And for Nigerians, the name that they call you is very, very important.
Absolutely.
So, that's why I wanted something that had some kind of meaning to it. So I was sitting with a friend a few years ago, just talking, and he said to me, "You're such a non-conformist."
Right.
And that was where that stuck.
Okay.
I think for a lot of things, in a lot of different things I've done in my life, people have always tried to put me in a box.
Okay.
I think, first of all, people see a black singer, they expect me to do a certain kind of music.
Absolutely.
They see a black girl with short blonde hair, they expect a certain kind of attitude, and I've never really fallen into all those kind of boxes. Or, for example, people see, a black entertainer, and then they see that I work in a Fortune 500 company, and it's like,
yeah.
So the non-conformist has just been, I'm finally at a place in my life where I'm comfortable with not fitting into anybody's box. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. And I actually have to say, I love your style.
Thank you.
I love the style and what you said about, this whole idea of being a non-conformist. Look at you, look at her with her, low-cut hair, blonde, it's not your average, the way Nigerian girls, most girls now tend to go for the long weave, the mascara, the long lashes, the popping highlighter, with Fenty makeup brand just out there now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is quite different and unique. And that's one thing people actually don't realize, that beauty, it doesn't have to be over the top. There's beauty in simplicity. So that's what I actually really like about your style. So
Thank you.
Kudos. So you're also a model. You started out, as I said earlier, I'm going to go way back now to the beginning.
Okay.
So I'm aware that you're a model.
Yes.
So You started off as a model. Are you still modeling at the moment?
So I'm no longer represented by an agency because I used to be signed to an agency. So I do work from, now and again, not as frequently as I used to. I just got into a point where I was being asked to lose a lot of weight.
Right, okay.
And I had already lost a lot of weight. And I just wasn't comfortable with the way I was looking. I wasn't comfortable with the effect that it was having on my self-esteem. And so I had to decide, is this going to be worth it at the end of the day? And so eventually...
It's not going to take off who you are as a person. All right, okay. We have class. Now we better pass. Smoke and glass. Now we better pass. Yeah. Smoke and glass. We want them to think that we have class.
Actually, let's do it in the actual key. We want them to think that we have class. Smoke and glass. Now we better pass. Smoke and glass. We want them to think that we have class. Smoke and glass. Oh, we better pass. We better pass, baby.
So at the lunch, how did you prepare? We were at one of your rehearsals at Glasnevin Academy of Music, and I have to say it was quite interesting. We are 4-piece band. The guitarist, the keyboardist. What's the other musical interest?
Percussion and bass, double bass.
I think that's amazing. So how did you get those guys? Because I remember at your show you did say something. You said, without these are like the important men in my life, and without them, this show would not be able to put the show together. So how did you find them?
So I started off with another band,
right?
A different group of people playing for me, and I think with everything your team can make or break you.
Absolutely.
So when I initially started, I would say the people I started out with didn't see NC Grey for what it could be, and so they weren't necessarily taking it as seriously. So or they just didn't. I mean, like, my music is not mainstream. Yeah. So you either love it or you don't. And I probably was, I had people who genuinely didn't like the genre for themselves. I have people that would come 2 hours late for rehearsal, just stroll in.
Okay.
So eventually I stripped the band, and it was just and my guitarist at the time was then playing for a lot of different artist and just didn't have the time anymore.
Right, okay.
So he introduced me to Darren, because Darren wasn't at that time playing for a lot of different bands, and he thought that maybe my genre might be a bit more suitable to Darren. And at that time, I was kind of praying, Lord, I need a band, but I don't want just anybody.
Yeah.
I met Darren, we had, one jam session, and I just knew. I just, I felt it, he felt it. It was just, so we did so many gigs as just the both of us, so many stripped down. Even, Cork Jazz Festival was just me and Darren.
Right, okay.
And people were like, I cannot believe how you filled up a room and captured an audience with just a guitarist.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
so it was me and Darren for a long time. And then, of course, the way it works is people hear you and go, I really like that. And then there was Barry, who heard us and, really liked us. We all got talking, we jammed with him. It went well. And then Sebastian. So little by little, people who genuinely liked the sound came in.
So,
and I've got my 2 backing singers
as well. Yeah. Okay, so what had to go into the preparation for the EP launch? Because I saw that, and you could tell that a lot of hard work, a lot of sleepless nights was put into that launch. So what did you guys have to do?
So there's always two sides to it. So I studied marketing in university. So a lot went into okay, what's the strategy here?
Yeah.
I'm not a household name.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yes.
even Beyonce has to still do some kind of marketing and PR. So looking for a venue, obviously that would determine what dates we were going to do. I definitely wanted something that spoke about my sound. So there are a lot of venues, but I wanted something that you would feel even before I began to sing. If you didn't know what I sounded like, that the atmosphere would give you some kind of idea of what it was like. I did a residency in Number 22 for their jazz shows every Saturday night since November.
Wow.
And I rang up the owner going, "Hi, Michael. I'm coming out with my EP, and this place would be perfect for it." And that was the venue I used. A lot of rehearsals went into it. Thinking, okay, people will not be able to hear the material until that night, and then those who purchase the CD, because it's not out to the 29th. So the material has to be, or the show needs to be so spot on that people actually want the CD at the end of the show.
Absolutely.
And this, of course, is my very first headline show as well. So a lot of rehearsals went into it, a lot of marketing, a lot of PR, a lot of writing, cold emails to blogs and to people, to the tastemakers.
Okay.
This is my EP. So I'd love for you to come down and have a listen to me live.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I have to say the audience were incredible. It was a good turnout.
Thank
and
you.
I remember when I walked into the venue, I thought, oh my goodness, the backdrop was just beautiful, as you said. Before, even if you didn't know what NC Grey sounded like, what a sound of genre is, you already have an idea that this is some kind of jazz. I saw it, and of course, you had the young lady Felly Speaks.
Yes.
She opened for you as well, and she was just wow.
I think another thing on the non-conformist side, I got some questions. I mean, the standard is you have a singer-songwriter, somebody who plays something, very quiet, very probably not as noticeable, come and open for the, and I knew so I'm a very big fan of Jill Scott, and Jill Scott she'll say to you she's a poet first before she's a singer.
Okay.
So in all her life, there's always an element of spoken word to it.
Okay.
Now, I'm not a spoken word artist, but I wanted that feel to it, and even before I got into my venue, I knew I wanted Felicia. I wanted Felly Speaks. I've heard her speak, and I've had chills. I'm like, I want that same kind of vibe, and I hit her up, and she was open, and she really wanted to do it. So yeah, it was a great collaboration.
She was incredible. Her personality is just amazing. Right. Okay. So you spoke about Jill Scott being an influence. I know Sade Adu is also someone you look up to. So what other artists?
People like Billie Holiday, Aretha Franklin. So I listened to a lot of old school jazz music, and just the originality of their sound. How honest. I mean, doing music as a Black person in that time, obviously came with its own, struggles. And sometimes when you're listening to their music, you can genuinely feel what they're saying.
Yeah.
Their lyrics had meaning. There was a storyline. They were drawing from somewhere. And I think that's something that that has heavily influenced my music, my genre and my songwriting process. There's always a story. There's always something that I'm pulling from when I'm writing. So.
Great stuff. So of course, you've talked about being a Black girl, So how do you feel about being an African girl in Ireland? How do you think people are responding to your sound of music, to your genre?
I think in the past maybe 2 years, there's been an influx of highly talented Black people who are making a difference. It's not that they weren't talented people before, but I think they just weren't pushing themselves mainstream. When I say mainstream, I mean outside of the Black community. So I think we're finally,
in Ireland now.
Yes, in Ireland, we're finally,
I get what you mean.
Excuse my reference, but we're leaving the whole party shows.
Right, okay.
And this generation is aiming for the festivals and the venues and the sugar clubs and the Whelan's, to a wider audience. Because the audience is there.
Absolutely.
You just have to find the people.
people.
It's like now, you know, with me, I know that my sound is not mainstream, but I know that my audience is there. And I mean, the show has proven that there are people who genuinely like this kind of music. You just need to find them.
And that's why I actually find interesting, because of course you performed at the Body and Soul. So tell me more about that. Body and Soul Festival during the summer.
Body and Soul was...
I think that was a big opportunity.
a dream,
Wow.
you know. Definitely probably the biggest crowd that I've performed in front of. Of course, on my end, I don't leave anything to chance. I studied marketing, as I said. So, you know, I had my own social media ads running. I got to the festival about 4 or 5 hours before my time slot. I had cards printed out with the stage I was going to perform on and the time, and I shared those out because, you know, yes, your product is good, but if you have a drug that can cure AIDS, if you don't market it, people won't know, and so they won't buy. So, you know, and when it came to my time, of course, their marketing as Body and Soul and my marketing as NC Grey, my stage was packed.
Absolutely.
And it was unreal.
Unreal.
I don't think I've ever done anything like that before.
So Body and Soul and your EP launch.
Yes.
The feeling you got, you know, how would you compare it?
Body and Soul was a huge opportunity for me, you know, to network with their own fan base. You know, they have so many people who come there, you know, recurrently every single year. I don't think anything would be comparable to my EP launch. I think for me as an artist,
Because you did shed a tear on stage.
yes, I was very emotional, and you know, every time I think about it, my eyes get watery. Because if anybody had told me in January that I'd be doing a show by myself, it seemed impossible. You know,
well, you did it.
I'm still not managed by anybody. I'm not signed to any label or anything.
Okay.
And for the longest time, I saw that as a disadvantage. That you know, I can't possibly do this all by myself. But I mean, for me to pull off Thursday.
Yeah.
It just shows you how much, you know, when you really put your mind to something. You know, because sometimes we're always looking for somebody else to come and save us.
Yeah.
You know, oh, if only I had this person there, or I had this person there, or if only I had that, or I had this funding, or da 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 da. And we're sitting down waiting on something else. I think it was Jamie Foxx who gave this analogy of, and I'll never forget this. I was watching, it just randomly popped up on my Facebook feed.
Right, okay.
And he said, it was a rainy night and his car had stopped and he was trying to flag people down to help him maybe jumpstart the car or just get some kind of help. Now, a black man standing in the middle of the road trying to get help from the States, of course, that didn't go too well.
Yeah.
Eventually, he got frustrated, got out of his car and began to attempt to push the car by himself. People stopped and helped him push the car.
Wow.
And when I watched that, I have that video saved on Facebook for every time that I feel like I need somebody else. I can't do this by myself. When you begin to push by yourself, people will be inspired by you dragging that ship by yourself. I have so many friends. You know, I have a friend who she changed her shift at work to be able to help out on the night. But if I was sitting down waiting for the team to come together before the night, Thursday wouldn't have happened.
Wow. That's actually quite an interesting point you made there. Very, very interesting. We always have something we learn on the couch. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. So what should we expect from you next? Of course, your EP, the EP is coming out on the 29th of September. So after that, what's going to happen? What next? What next for NC Grey?
We're working on a lot of visual content.
Right, music videos.
We should keep their eyes out for that.
Okay.
I'm also looking to expand my shows into other markets. So I'm British Nigerian.
Yeah.
I've done a handful of shows in Nigeria. Just
in Nigeria as well?
Yes, just to kind
Really?
of test the market and kind of see.
Yeah.
You know,
so how's that been for you?
It's been interesting. I've actually had really good responses at show. Obviously, I just assumed, it's not the marketplace. You know, everybody's into the whole, you know.
Yes.
But
Afrobeats.
there are people who, you know, genuinely want to sit down, relax, and listen to some good music.
Yeah.
So between Nigeria and the UK and other, you know, smaller European countries, I want to start to touch different places and kind of get a feel for the market and see, you know, what are people's reactions, what are people's thoughts, and if I can, start doing little pop-up shows here and there.
Right, okay. So I would imagine you're not going to be an associate strategist for a long time.
The plan is to eventually transition, but transition smartly.
Yes.
So grow both to a place where the music is solid enough to stand on its own before I jump ship.
Fantastic.
And of course, learn, being at Google has opened my eyes to so many things, and I've learned so many, marketing strategies that I'm now applying to my own brand as well.
Yeah.
So definitely, take on board as much information and knowledge as well.
Yeah.
Before I jump ship.
Before you jump. Okay, great stuff. So would you say, what would you say success means to you, by the time you see yourself get up the ladder? Because you're slowly getting up there. Should I say slowly? Slowly and surely.
Yes.
Slowly and surely. What's the phrase?
Yeah, slowly but surely. Yeah.
Slowly but surely, you're getting there. So what does success mean to you?
I try not to tie success to my achievements, only because there will always be another thing. There will always be a higher thing to get to. And I've learnt, thank God, very quickly, that if you I used to be that person, whether I'm learning or I'm unlearning things that I've learnt, where it's always about the next thing. Okay, what's next? I've done this show, I've done that show, what's next? I'm not living in the moment.
Yeah.
So success for me is being happy, genuinely happy. And yes, happiness sometimes comes in little pockets here and there. But success for me is genuinely being content. So recording that song and getting those little butterflies, just picking out tiny moments, because there will always, even Beyonce has milestones that she's looking to, so there will always be something else. Success for me is growth, looking at where I was last year, where I am this year,
and where you're going,
and just thinking about the possibilities of where I'll be this time next year. That for me is success. Because if Beyonce stays where she is right now, that's not success. Because somebody else will come and do those milestones for her.
Absolutely.
So as long as there's happiness and then there's growth, for me that's success.
That's great. Good stuff. So if you were to open a show for a big artist out there,
Jill Scott.
She would allow me to finish the question.
I have a picture of Jill Scott. See, because Shade doesn't do shows anymore.
Yeah, she doesn't. Yeah.
So I think to be a bit more realistic, I have a picture of Jill Scott on my vision board. I want to open for Jill Scott. Yeah.
And it's possible.
Oh yeah.
Impossible is nothing.
I know.
It is possible. It is possible. So is there anything you would like to leave us on the couch? Any word of advice? Any word to your fans? Sorry, to Greystones. Actually,
to my Greystones,
You know what? I was going to ask you that question. Why, obviously, with Beyonce, her big fans, beehives. So how did you come up with the names Greystones?
If I'm going to be honest, it just came out of my mouth one day, and someone replied, "I'm a Greystone." I'm like, oh, okay, I see you. And that's how it stuck.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great stuff. So yeah, what would you like to say to Greystones?
Do you want me to talk to the camera?
Yes, of course.
Everything seems impossible until it's done. So get your lazy ass out of bed and make it happen. You only live once. There's no reruns, no test drive. This is it. Go out there and make it happen.
Yes. So yes, you heard from NC Grey. Get off your lazy ass.
Yep.
And do what you have to do for you. So thank you so much for joining us on the couch with Abis. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the couch. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
Smoke and glass, we want them to think that we have class. Smoke and glass, no, we better pass. Smoke and glass, we want them to think that we have class. Smoke and glass, no, we better pass. MAC lipstick check, beige tights on, Jimmy Choo's on my feet, can't you see? And my waist cinched in Kim K form, Strackle pose though it's hard to breathe. I'm a bad bitch of the way I'll tell you, but Misty claimed me a wife material. Carolina by night trying to catch the